Welcome back to Black News Tonight. After being exposed for not providing adequate mental health treatment for incarcerated people in crisis, Massachusetts Department of Corrections is trying a new method. Instead of stopping its more than 22 hours a day of solitary confinement punishment for the emotionally distressed, the department is considering a new Fitbit-like technology to monitor their real heart rate and their breathing. Earlier this month, the department signed a contract with Foresight Labs, the manufacturer of ankle and wrist shackles called Custody Protect. Now, this transmits one's vitals through a cloud-based artificial intelligence software. The Massachusetts Department of Corrections told Vice that as part of its suicide prevention efforts, it is evaluating the feasibility of Foresight Labs' bracelets by inmates with specific health and safety needs whose care would benefit from wearing a bracelet to monitor physical function, such as heart rate. Joining me now to discuss are Dr. Johanna Fernandez, Associate Professor of History at Baruch College, and John DeFalco, the CEO of Foresight Labs. I want to thank you both for joining me. Doctor, I want to actually start, I might as well start with the person who created this thing, part of the team here. What was your thought process when doing this?
So when I first started thinking about this technology, I realized that we needed to start bringing a public health approach to public safety. And what that means is that folks in law enforcement and corrections, I just think they need new tools for today's job. When we arrest and incarcerate people, there's unprecedented levels of drug addiction and mental illness in today's detained population. They need monitoring that's beyond what we can do with visual 15-minute checks. And it just occurred to me that human effort alone is not going to be enough to keep people safe, that we need technology to lend a hand. And that's where I thought up that continuous monitoring of vitals and checking on people using artificial intelligence can fill in the gaps that we've got today in our systems.
So, Johanna, this sounds on its face to many like a good idea. It sounds like a human-centered, humanistic intervention into a system that does harm to people who are in solitary confinement. Of course, the pushback might be, why normalize solitary confinement? What do you say?
So,
well, Mark,
go ahead, Johanna.
I think it's my turn. This is like reorganizing the decks of the Titanic. You have a system that produces suicide, that drives people insane, that creates mental breakdown. What we need is to interrogate that system. What we need is immediate mental health care rather than the caging of human beings. And this honestly sounds to me like making the concentration camps a lot more efficient and effective. And I want to ask, once you detect that the prisoner is in distress, what do? You're going to essentially tie the prison up, do the 4-point restraint, and further contribute to the deterioration of that prisoner's mental being.
So, doctor, when we would detect something was wrong with the vital signs, we would actually alert the facility's medical staff to provide medical treatment. So, in the case where something was anomalous with the heart rate of someone who was detained, the prison would then have to follow their standard operational procedures to provide medical treatment to that person. So the idea is that by knowing what someone's vitals are, we have an opportunity to save people's lives, to prevent suicides, to prevent in-custody injuries and deaths. That's our goal. So we don't want to do things that are more harmful to people that are being detained. We want to protect them by monitoring their vitals more closely than is humanly possible today.
John,
but the prisons
let me ask a question. 1 second, John, and I'll give you a chance to jump in. John, I think part of the concern is if solitary confinement is so detrimental to one's mental health, mental well-being, that we need to design a technology to prevent suicide under its watch. Isn't that an argument for not doing it at all, rather than trying to develop reforms that will allow people to still be effectively maybe tortured and just not die from it? To some, that looks like it's a way of simply making sure prisons don't have blood on their hands, but not really solving the problem. What would you say to that kind of concern?
So we have to keep in mind that suicide rates in our prison system are often due to people starting to go through withdrawals from drug addiction. So when people go into the system, 4 to 5 people are on drugs and they're addicted. And when they're separated from their drug, they start getting desperate. That causes sky-high suicide rates. So I think what we really need is a combination of really good detox services and mental health care for people as they're starting on the journey back, in addition to be able to continuously monitor their vitals for their own safety. So unfortunately, with the drug epidemic in the country, we have to basically use our prison system as a detox facility, because the folks going through the system, especially in the first 30 days of incarceration, it's a critical time for their health and safety as they start to become desperate and go through withdrawal.
Johanna, I guess, so would you be okay with, now, again, I begin this place as an abolitionist, so I would say this whole thing is about reforming something that I think is untenable and unsustainable at the moral and political level. But to the extent that there are prisons right now, would you be okay with this technology if it were only used for people who were dealing with drug addiction, Dr. Fernandez, as opposed to people in solitary confinement? Is it the technology itself, or is it how it's being deployed?
25% of the people in prisons are today, right now, as we speak, in solitary confinement. Solitary confinement leads to the mental breakdown of the prisoner. There are all kinds of different reasons why people seek suicide. It's not just that they're on drugs. It's that the system itself is violent, isolates them from others. We are social animals. We need interaction. And incarceration, by definition, is about separating the individual from society and then deploying an enormous amount of violence against them. This is what, in its totality, produces the high rates of suicides in prison. And we need to start asking ourselves, who are we as a society? Is this the kind of system we want to be associated with, committed to, continue to improve? It seems that we need mental health services. It seems that we need jobs in our communities, because more than the majority of people who are imprisoned are unemployed at the time of imprisonment. And ultimately, why don't we start employing the fat cats? There are plenty of guys on Wall Street right now who should be in prison. Maybe you should monitor them and put these cuffs on them. But this is what I want to say. Last thing I'm going to say. This is the new frontier of American capitalism. American capitalism has been on the decline since the 1970s, and imprisonment has been the new frontier of capitalist development. Prisons are the third largest employer and a huge moneymaker in American society, the land of the free. So we have to start interrogating the objectives of this. But this sounds horrifically authoritarian. The system doesn't want you to kill yourself. It wants to kill you itself.
John, I'm going to give you, since John had an opportunity to kind of flesh that idea out, I do want to give you a chance to respond to that idea here. I sort of wanted you to respond to this earlier, which is the question of a real fundamental question. Do you think solitary confinement is itself inhumane?
I am not an expert in correction, so I can't comment on that. But I can comment on the idea that we need to invest in both our communities and our public safety systems to make them all better. We live in the wealthiest country in the world. And the idea that this is an either or choice, I don't think is really accurate. I think that we can do both. We need safe and effective public safety. We need to invest in our communities. And we're a country who should be leading the way in both. Clearly, we have work to do, lots of work ahead. Sorry, go ahead, please.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I guess my question is, if you knew, if it were proven to you that solitary confinement itself were inhumane fundamentally, would you still be willing to sell this technology?
I'm not an expert in solitary confinement. Actually, in the process of developing and testing this technology,
My question was if experts. My question is if experts determined that it were inhumane, would you cease to sell the technology?
So Custody Protect was actually designed to monitor people both in and outside of detention. So we actually first place sensors on people when they're arrested on the street. So we would continue to sell Custody Protect because it's made to monitor someone's vitals from the minute they get arrested all the way through transport, through detention. So we would continue to sell it because it's actually made to be used to monitor people's safety everywhere in that process.
Fair enough. I think we got our answer there.
Alive everywhere.
And you know what happens
but just to be clear, every major we have to wrap, guys, but every major human rights organization has determined that solitary confinement is a form of torture. There's been no criminological expert, penal expert, law enforcement expert that has determined otherwise. So that is something interesting to think about as we move this conversation forward. But I want to thank you both for being here. We got to run. But everybody, let us know what you think.